Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode in Motorsport International here in Romanian Culture Cars. My second guest is Scott Andrews. Hello, Scott.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Scott Andrews, IMSA driver, will tell us a couple of secrets about his motorsport career, how you started, how his achievement, and other things to do. Scott, let's start with a little describe about you.
Sure, yeah. Um, as you know, my name's Scott. I was born in Australia, and yes, always loved cars and mainly like driving. I liked the feeling of driving. So ever since I can remember, since I was 4 years old, I was always trying to get into something and drive it and like trying to make it move and go sideways and stuff like that. So I was always just wanting to drive. Um, and then, uh, yeah, so basically, I grew up in a pretty small town on the coast called Torquay in Australia. When I first moved there in the early 90s with obviously my parents, I think there was like probably less than 3,000 people in the whole town. So it was kind of cool. Um, and yeah, so I grew up there and, yeah, did the normal thing, like went to school around there and things like that. And then, as my racing things progressed in Australia, I was able to, um, yeah, kind of move on into some things over here in the US where I, moved here full time. Yeah, we can. I don't know if you want to ask questions about that or if you want me to already talk about that straight away, but yeah, so that's pretty much a little bit about me.
Yes, yes, yes. How you start the motorsport career, and who is your favorite driver to convince you to start motorsport career from Australia, from United States, wherever?
Yeah, so basically how I started is so my father, he used to drag race as a hobby on motorcycles. And but he always tried to look professional. So him and his friends that he brought to, help crew on the bike and stuff, they would always try to wear the same color outfit to try to look professional. Uh and what happened is this company who was at the track thought that my dad's team looked professional and then he wanted to help them move to the next level. So actually, lucky timing. And then basically my dad did 4 years of pro stock motorcycle, which is like the highest professional category of drag racing on bikes. Um, and he stopped because my karting career started getting a little more serious. I wouldn't say karting career, but like, we started karting as a hobby because I enjoyed it. It was a cheap way we could spend time on the weekend and do like club racing and things like that. And then in the end, uh, I started getting a little, more competitive and I wanted to race elsewhere and do other things. So uh, that was at the time where karting was amazing. You could really do it on a budget. And we used to travel um, almost all around Australia doing in the back of his we had an old ambulance uh thing and then we took the back out and we made the rails so the cart goes on top and then the bed can go in the bottom. And then so basically we used to sort of drive around on that or put the trailer on the back or whatever. So that was really cool. Did a lot of that, a lot of karting, a lot of racing, made a lot of really good friends. Um, really helped hone your skills and experience with some of the guys that race karts in Australia are some of the best drivers. They're really, really competitive. Um, so I was lucky to be born there in a way. Uh, and then long story short, basically when we are sort of like, karting is done. I'm 17 years old, 18 years old. Um, I sort of said to her, I was like, I really want to try to move to cars, like racing cars. Like, I don't really care if I come last. I just really want to try it and see where we go. So actually, the people that used to sort of help my dad racing put some money in to help us go to the cars, make the move from karting to cars in Australia. And it went really well. Like yeah, had some great results in karts in my early career, sorry, cars in my early career My first thing I raced was a V8 Commodore Cup, which is like a kind of like a really old V8 supercar, basically. They were a lot of fun. Met a lot of people there, and then moved to Formula Ford and made a lot of great connections there. And then that actually really helped move to the US as well because the manufacturer Spectrum that I did all my racing for in Australia in the Formula Ford. In the end, I won the US F1600 Pro Championship in a Spectrum, um, which was really cool. An Australian car winning an American championship. Um, and then, yeah, so that was 2015. When I first moved here in 2013 was actually I got a drive with JDC, who run the Porsche 963 now. But at the time, they were focusing on open wheels and doing a lot of like road to Indy stuff. They'd won a bunch of Star Mazda and Pro Mazda championships. Actually, they won one with Adam Christodoulou, the other, the Mercedes factory driver who raced with
Yes,
us in
yes, yes.
Daytona this year. So that was kind of cool. So with JDC, I've kind of been with them in a way the whole time. They gave me my opportunity to race in America for the first time. My first time was at Laguna Seca. I'd never driven there, and I'd never really driven in a downforce open wheel car before. And it was actually kind of cool because their car was great, and I managed to um, top I think 3 or 4 practice sessions. So immediately that was cool because I got a little bit of a name for myself in the States, and people sort of I guess understood that yeah, I'm here and I'm serious about what I'm doing, and you know, so obviously, moving here, I did for the first few years, I lived where I had to work. So I started working at Dream Racing in Las Vegas. Don't know if you've ever heard that, but it's basically an arrive and drive um business where basically they are on the speedway and they use the infield circuit, and then anybody can just come and pay the money and drive the cars, and then I would sit in the right seat and just coach them
Okay.
for like I think it was like $20 an hour or something.
But I
Um,
but I have to ask you something.
yeah, man.
Of course, you can continue. Drivers like I don't know Willpower, like Mark Webber, like I say you I forgot another name. Fabian Coulthard and others drivers from Australia. That's for sure. Help you to go on racing. Like I say, you inspire. You are being inspired by this
Yeah.
type of
So
drivers.
yeah, I think obviously what Will did was awesome. Um, and I definitely wanted to follow his footsteps into IndyCar when I first moved here. Um,
And Champ Car also. He competing on
yeah,
Champ.
obviously he did Champ Car, but Champ Car was done when I moved, it was only IndyCar.
Oh, okay.
Um, so although I would have loved to race Champ Car, those things were awesome. But yeah, I mean, Will is definitely an inspiration. He's in his prime, he was really one of the fastest drivers in the world. I think if he got a good seat in F1, I think he would win F1 championships. I mean, still is really good, right? But obviously, as you age, when the cars are that fast, like I'm not saying anything that he's slow or anything. Like you still look at guys like himself, Scott Dixon, they're all still at the top of their game. But for sure, like if he got an opportunity, or even Dixon or any of those guys in their 20s or whatever to do F1, I think
And
they're
Ryan
all
Briscoe also, because he
yeah,
competing in GT, so that's for sure a GT driver. You can
yeah,
inspire
Briscoe too.
everyone.
Yeah, Briscoe as well. Like obviously won the World Karting Championship, and he's got a lot like super talented. So there's a lot of guys that came over and did it. One guy that really helped me a lot actually, uh, James Davison, and his family has a lot of heritage in racing and stuff like that. And at the time, he
Okay.
was doing a bunch of I think he just sort of won came second in the Um, Indy Lights Championship, and then was doing some testing in IndyCar and stuff. and we had met at one of the places that I was doing a drive day at in Australia. So we worked and basically gave people hot laps in, old like sort of like V8 race cars. And yeah, he sort of sat behind me in one of the sessions and he's just like, "Oh, who's this guy?" That's what he said to me. He's just like, "Man, who is this guy? Like he's driving well." And I get out of the car and yeah,
Yeah,
when I was young, like I had like, we had no money. I didn't know how to dress. I didn't have any style. Like he got out of the car, I had like long hair and like,
and that's for
torn up
sure.
race suit.
And that's for sure the Indy Lights Championship called Indy NXT, so it's gonna be the second
Second
championship,
one.
and of course the first is the NTT
Right.
IndyCar
Yeah.
Championship, and
Yeah.
that's for sure, guys. The growing up in motorsport is very very important. So I want to ask you, Scott,
Mm,
what do you recommend for a new generation or a rookie driver, whatever you want to say? What do you
mm.
recommend, like championship track days, cars, and whatever? You recommend what you start or not?
How do you mean? Do you mean like how do I recommend people
To
to
start a
become?
motorsport career, motorsport career from which start, and after that which steps, like
Yeah.
open wheels or
Okay.
GT.
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest thing, I was probably fortunate that I was one of the last kind of generation where you could make it on not having much money. Uh, it still was hard. I spent the first 3 years, 4 years over here sleeping on a blow up mattress or on friend's couch or whatever, until I finally landed an opportunity. But obviously, you have to start karts. Karts is, the younger the better. Obviously, not too young, but you have to start. You have to love it and enjoy it. You know, it's it's a long road, and you know, even when I was in my teens and stuff, I just thought like, well, if I do this and do this and do this, I end up here. It's not how it works. Like you do this, you do this, you go here, 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 and then all of a sudden it's just like you end up over here, and it's just like that's not really where I wanted to end up, but it's still cool. So funnily enough, in my teens, I was watching some FIA GT racing, and all the big names and stuff. And I was watching it on TV, and I was just like, man, that's really what I want to do. I want to do like, I think it was a time like FIA GT1. And I was like, man, that's what I
Okay,
want to do. Like GT cars with co-drivers and driver changes. Like that is so cool. That's what I want to do.
endurance.
Endurance, but GT cars. And I accidentally got into prototypes. And I spent like 5 years doing prototypes only, basically, not driving GT cars. Not because I didn't want to drive GT cars. I wanted to do GT cars. It's just the opportunities that I had. So it's one of those things when you're starting and when you're getting into it, you have to be very open-minded. And you know, basically, it's important if it really helps if you know somebody in racing as
If
well.
you have a
That
good coach, like I say.
a coach helps. That's the other thing how I was able to make my career here is that I started coaching guys, and some of these guys went on to buy bigger and better cars, and they started getting better, and they wanted to enter in things like IMSA, and it's kind of like, well, I'm going to enter my LMP3 car in IMSA. Do you want to be my co-driver kind of thing? That's really cool in America that that's actually very possible. Um, and that is the way that, I brought him up before. That's sort of like what James told me. Basically, that's the only way how it's going to work. If you can't fund yourself, you got to, make it worth someone else's while for them to fund you. And then so coaching is a mutual thing where, you're making them a better driver and getting them good results by being fast and doing a good job in the car. And then you yourself is getting a good opportunity as well. So yeah, start karts. If you can, go to cars. Obviously whatever fits your budget, but basically do some racing that is known at a reasonably high level, I would say. So when you approach guys, hey, like, I want to coach you or whatever, then they see you've got some runs on the board. They understand that you have the experience and things like that. Because it's very hard for them to trust you to coach and drive their car if you might be very good, but maybe you don't have.
Yes, yes,
It's
yes.
very tricky. It's hard for me to say, man. But yeah, it's
I
that
can
that's
say, I can
that's
say
the way that I did it.
if you let me to, if you let me to continue, and after that we will coming with another question. Like I say, it's very important, and with that we will have a conclusion. You need to have an experienced driver, like let's mark some names like Scott Pruitt, like Bill Oberdeen, like I don't know, Robbie Foley, Mike Skeen also, because he's an incredible driver, especially in Trans Am Championship. Of course, coming in IMSA, prove he was very, very good, especially in top three and of course in top one also. And you need drivers with a lot of experience who help you to grow not very fast, but grown step by step by step to understand, because they have the same situation, but a couple of years ago. And of course, the generation changes. Now we have sim racing, we have other cars, other specifications, other setups. We don't have the manual clutch system. We have automatic with clutch pedal, excuse me, and of course other things to do. And then now, Scott, it's time to talk about a serious phrase, like I say. In my country, the motorsport is being promoted by two phrases: "Street is not circuit," and "Champions are in circuit, not in the street." To tell us people for the first time who watching my interview, of course, the people who watching me, the rest of the interviews from other series will know exactly what I'm talking about. In your opinion, what do we have to do to convince people to come on racing, to come on track days, to come watching racing? Because you know the situation is not good. People continue to make street racing or street or illegal racing, like I say, in the public roads. And what do you have to do to convince people to come in competitions and track this?
Oh, that's a good question. I think obviously, the first step is promoting it, which obviously, it's being promoted from where you're from. And I think after that is kind of understanding. Mm, yeah, I mean it's tough, right? Like, but yeah, obviously promotion and making the accessibility to get to tracks or things like that easy, which, over here in the US, it's pretty easy to go. You can go and track your street car. Um, you know, I wouldn't recommend tracking your street car, or at least if you do have a different set of brakes and tires that you can drive home on after, because tracking the car is very hard on brakes and tires. But yeah, obviously accessibility and promotion, I think, are the two main things. And then, you know, um, I think also for people understanding, kind of motorsport is one of those sports that most people don't understand the intensity of it and how kind of like, not only like pressures and stresses that the driver goes through, but like the physicality of driving like the faster cars, obviously GT3 and above, or a lot of open wheelers. It blows people's minds when you put them in a GT3. They are scared for their lives, and the GT3 is, obviously like 8, 10 seconds slower lap than an LP2, for example. So the um, I think a lot of people don't understand that part of it. They think you just sit in the car and you just drive. So I think it's hard to try to promote racing when people get in their car every day and they drive and they don't understand how hard it is then to like, if people kick a football, right? And they go, wow, I suck at this. Those professionals on TV are so good. But people who drive on the road, they're like, oh, well, I stop at the stop signal and I keep it in my lane, so I'm a good driver. It's not the same. But as far as like taking people off the road onto the track, yeah, I think that's very important. And yeah, accessibility and yeah, just promoting that it's the correct and cool thing to do.
And that's for sure to continue. Probably they have a, like I say, they need to talk with professional drivers like you, like Salihio Lucru, Andrade, and others to understand the danger on the public roads when you make street racing. That's for sure, and move to street racing to circuit or I don't know drag racing, drift, hill climb rallies and other discipline for motorsport. And of course we have a lot of competition when you can when you can drive, of course, in Champ Car, endurance race, SCCA, and
Mm-hmm.
others competition, that's for sure. And of course, guys, check check every competition, and of course see the websites to know exactly how can you participate in this type of competition. And that's for sure, guys, do understand the danger. Of course, the motorsport is danger, but the public roads when you make street racing is more dangerous, like it's a circuit competition, and of course in the competition like that. You want to say other something, Scott, before we started the final on the interview?
No, actually it's a very good point you make. Like obviously I was just focusing on the circuit side of things because that's mainly what I do, right? But you're very right, and there's so many other disciplines like, rally, drifting, drag racing, like, sort of whatever car you have and you want to push, obviously it's not safe to do so on the road. Um, you're putting a lot of people's lives in danger in your own. Just there's so many variables on the street. You just have no idea what's around the corner. Excuse the pun, but it's so true. So, um, you're very right in, like even hill climb, it's a lot of fun to do. Like you can really push the car to the limit. They do different types of rallying, tarmac rally, dirt rally, drag racing, drifting. So it's a very good point you make that I was just focusing on the circuit side of things. So, yeah.
And that's for sure a hill climb, especially Pikes Peak in United States of America, because it's very,
Yeah.
very huge, and that's for sure everybody knows about that. But of course, competitions from United States, no, North America, excuse me, North America, South America, because of course in South America we have competitions, Europe, Africa, Asia, Australia, and Oceania, like New Zealand. Sorry, sorry if I pronounce incorrect or something like that. But Australia and New Zealand, like I say, to correctly. And yeah, guys, come on racing. And of course, if you want to have another questions about Scott Andrews, don't forget him to follow on social media. I want to say, Scott, to let me all social media in the description to call, of course if you want to call, but if you want to make and send a message about him. And of course, if you have other questions, social media or comment section down below if you have other questions about his motorsport career. And of course, Scott, there we have a Q&A session, or in social media or in comment section down below. In the final interview, and thank you so much, Scott, to accept my interview. If you have a message for fans, for team fans, from IMSA fans and others.
Yeah, sure. Uh, basically, yeah, I mean, sorry, you put me on the spot there for a second. No, it's yeah, for all the people that support IMSA and any racing all over the world. It's really we all as drivers really appreciate the fans, even sometimes on the race weekend if we're a little bit busy and maybe we don't show it. But without the fans, the sport really doesn't happen. So the fans are super crucial for all of us to keep going and keep pushing, um, and for the sport to continue to grow. So yeah, we all thank all the fans for their interest and all their input online and everything, whether it's negative or good. Obviously, we try to keep the personal negative stuff out of it. We try to keep it as positive if we can. But any type of input is good. We all of the opinions and stuff on the social medias and everything is really cool. It helps build the growth of the sport. Obviously, IMSA, in my opinion, is one of the coolest, if not the coolest, endurance racing, sports car racing in the whole world. I've been fortunate enough to do WEC, ELMS, like Le Mans Cup, some SRO things, and for me, I think IMSA is right at the top. Obviously, right along with WEC. It's a different style, but I love doing IMSA. And I think the fans really enjoy the IMSA style racing as well. There's always action. It's close. So yeah, and if anybody is a Mercedes supporter out there, then go throw some support on our team, Lone Star Racing. Yeah, it's a small team from Texas. We feel like we punch above our weight. We've got some very smart guys on our team. And yeah, so that's probably all I have to say.
And because I forgot to say, another region in motorsport is now the Central of America, Central America with drivers coming from there, especially Efrin Castro and Jimmy Libre, of course, and Mateo Larena. And of course, I forgot to say, guys, I can let you the Lone Star Racing social media in the description to see what's going on. Scott Andrews driving with Salih Holuk, the 2020 24 Hours of Le Mans champion. And of course, Rui Andrade, the rising star on World Endurance Championship when he get the first pole position with Thomas Van Rompuy in Bahrain, the 1,000 kilometer race, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, guys, follow the social media, Scott, teams, and the rest of the drivers, and of course follow the motorsport community because increase very very well and is open for everyone to come and watch motorsport. Before we start in the final step of the interview, do you have any words to say before I start in the final?
Uh, no, I'm good, man. I'm happy. I'm enjoying my time here so far. So I'll let you take control of it. You can drive it.
All right, all right. I will try to come one race to race. So that's for sure.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Is
That would
one
be
of my
awesome.
is one of my dream to be
If
honest.
if you if you can get to America, get to an IMSA race, let me know and we'll sort you out with some tickets from Lone Star.
I will try to come in IMSA and that's for sure. I will try to come every competition from Romania, of course, national competition, Europe, America, Africa, Asia, and Australia and New Zealand. That's for sure because every region have incredible atmosphere, incredible crowd, incredible race, and of course, incredible drivers, stuffs, and other things to do. And that's for sure, guys. Watching every competition before and after the race, of course, if you have watching live, and after that a little replay, like a little highlights, that's for sure. So yeah, guys, thank you so much to see another episode here in Motorsport International. I invite Scott Andrews to invite other people for Motorsport International. So if you want to come to tell us your story and your achievement, your results, contact Scott Andrews. After that, Scott Andrews contact me, and we'll set a time and a day to tell us your story, your results, your achievements, and other things to do if you want to come here and see your stories to inspire other people like Scott Andrews because Scott Andrews is being inspired by other drivers and of course other people to start motorsport career, of course from his dad with drag racing, moved to America, and others. The long story, like I say, for him and for everyone who make motorsport great again, like I say, and of course make motorsport to grown up especially. So yeah, guys, thank you so much to accept to watching the Motorsport International. And thank you so much, Scott Ennis, to accept the interview. And guys, until next time, street is not circuit. You are the best, and hope you enjoy. Let's go racing room.